Welcome to Paranormal Addicts podcast, season 3. We're already on episode 9 this year, so that's kind of rolling along. So, my guest today is my good friend, my para brother, my brother from another mother, whatever you want to call him, Russell Reynolds. So, we'll just start out like we always do, Russell. Just introduce yourself to everybody watching that may not know who you are.
Okay. I am Russell Reynolds. I'm the founder of Beyond Life Paranormal Research, Missouri. I'm the team lead for Cold Spotters, Missouri. Um, the group kind of started back east in 2006 with the help of Rob Demarest, who I was mentored by, and Florida Ghost Team. My paranormal journey started at the young age of 6 years old when I experienced something in my house, a Civil War soldier, and things would go on in this house like crazy, paranormal wise. Dog would bark all hours of the night, dig at a wall. Water would turn on its own. Toilets would flush on its own. And my parents started experiencing it. Long story short, we ended up moving out, and another group moved in, wouldn't stay. They'd stay maybe about a week, and they would move back out again. And finally, when I hit about 13, is when I started investigating the paranormal. A group had bought it from New York City, and they remodeled it, and they found Civil War uniforms, money, bayonets, guns, hospital equipment. So I did a little bit of history research on it and found out it used to be a Civil War base and hospital. Everything in this house was original. Skeleton keys on the doors. Doors were even 1800s old. Um, and it went on from there. I started investigating the paranormal, and then I ended up dying at the age of 12 years old from a seizure from brought on by a fever, and ended up crossing over in that veil and woke up to my mom giving me CPR and my chin gashed wide open. And ever since then, I've had the abilities to see, hear spirits, and stuff like that. So fast forward 2012, I had moved to Missouri here and carried Beyond Life Paranormal Research over here to Missouri and started this group in 2012. And Beyond Life Paranormal Research ran until 2016 when my assistant director ended up with some medical issues. So we decided we'll close that group. This one's running. And then 2020, we became part of the Cold Spotters British Columbia family from Amanda Quill and Rob Dermarest. And we've been running the state of Missouri for them since 2020, and we're still going strong with Cold Spotters.
All right, so this focus a little bit on, you know, the 6 when you had your first experience. Like you said, you had the water turning on, moving, and of course you eventually discovered it was Civil War. And when did you realize yourself? When did you realize that it was paranormal?
It was when I seen that full-bodied apparition of that Civil War soldier about 3 o'clock in the morning. It woke me up because I heard a noise in my doorway, and my parents would keep the door open so they could hear us kids. Because me being 6, my sister was only 4 at the time, and I heard that noise, and I woke up and I seen this man. I mean, he was clear as day, a solid figure just standing there in my doorway, and he was looking at me. And I kind of got scared, and I was like that scared kid, pull the blanket over my head. It's not real. It'll go away. And then I got curiosity, like I need to look out again. And I peeked out from the blankets, and he was gone. And then we'd wake up freezing in the middle of the night. My dad think us kids were playing with the thermostat, and we were too small to even reach it. And he started experiencing stuff in that house with my mom's stuff moving around the shelves. Um, they would fold my laundry. One day, my dad and mom were both off from work, and my mom did my laundry, and she folded it, put it up on my bed. My dad had walked by my bedroom, and my laundry scattered through the whole bedroom. My dresser drawers were open, my dressers were tipped over, and my dad got noticing that the attic had been sealed up, and they were renting the house with option to buy, and he was tempted to open the wall up in that attic, but he never did. And I can remember one morning we woke up and the car was running outside, no keys in the ignition, and this was long before auto start was ever invented. So that'll kind of show you my age a little bit, but um, and we couldn't. My dad couldn't figure out why that car was running. My mom couldn't figure it out. And then when my mom started experiencing things, we'd be in the kitchen, electric go out, and we'd have a candle lit, and the candle flame would just blow. There'd be no draft coming in. It would just mysteriously have a breeze go by. And then when the dog started carrying on and digging at the wall, and one holiday we went to my grandparents, my dad was still at work. He come home and the bathroom upstairs was flooded. He calls my grandmother's house, gets my mom, said, "Did you or the kids leave the water onto the tub?" My mom said, "No." And he said, "Well, the bathroom's flooded. There's a lamp on the floor and it's turned on." Well, my grandpa, he got in his truck and my mom stayed with my grandmother and my sister. And my grandpa and I went back to the house, and sure enough, the bathroom was flooded up there. And then that time, my mom was like, "We need to move out of here. There's strange stuff going on. I can't take it. We need to go." And then we moved out, moved into another area, and so that house ended up going. People move in, wouldn't stay, move back out quite a few times, and then eventually it sat empty for a couple years before that couple bought it. I turned 13, and my neighbor's house was also haunted. We would stay up there because of my stepbrother, and my dad used to hunt up there, and so I would stay with my dad when I got a little older. And that house, you'd be there at night and you'd hear strange noises. One night, my dad and I both woke up, and the school I went to, we didn't have school on the opening day of deer season, so that was like an opportunity for me to go with my dad deer hunting. And here's a little boy sitting there just taking a rubber ball and throwing it against the wall. And kind of a residual, he didn't know we were there. He didn't even acknowledge us. Well, come to find out, that house has those two that passed away. The son, he died of a sickness. I think it was a scarlet fever he died from. And his father couldn't take it anymore and losing his child, and he went and offed himself in the barn by a noose. And they both haunt that house. And then my stepbrother's grandparents both passed away in that house. And I can remember my stepbrother telling me they had a grate that came from the upstairs bedroom looking down into the living room, and he looked up there and seen his grandmother looking down at him. And my brother wasn't one to get scared. I mean, he big early kid. He wasn't afraid of nothing. Loved his fast cars and all kinds of stuff, and that scared him.
So you started studying, like really studying it about 13, about 12, 13,
Yep.
probably. But that's one of many things that we have in common, because that was when I really got into it too. And so when you first got started, what was you reading? What was you watching? What were you researching? Who were your educators, whatever?
Uh, my educators were mainly Ed and Lorraine Warren. I started learning about them and started watching some of their videos and Ed's videos. Hey, Jimmy, what's up, brother? And started learning everything I could, and then I started reading a lot of stuff online, a lot of books on also demonic stuff because I knew if I was going to get into this field, there's chances are I was going to run into something like that. And then listening to Ed's videos and lectures, The Seekers of the Supernatural, that they had their program on TV all the time, I would watch a lot of those videos and listen about the Amityville and the Conjuring and all that stuff, and just listen to them educate and just kind of focused on what I could learn from them as mentors as well. And then when I met Rob Dermarest in 2006, and I was a DJ then too, and he was like, "Hey, since you're a DJ and I know you want to get started in the paranormal field," he says, "I'll help you get started if you make me a mixtape so I can listen to when I go overseas and filming with GHI." And I was like, "Sure, that's a deal." And then I made him that. I sent it to him. He got me in touch with Florida Ghost Team and went from there. Sean, and when Rob was filming, Sean would start talking to me and filling me in on how to run a group and all the processes, what equipment to use. And then when Rob was free, he would talk to me about it. And he would tell me different types of equipment and the processes, what he uses, and about how TV, it's not all what you see on the TV shows and stuff like that. And Rob was one of those, he was straightforward as a mentor. He didn't hold nothing back. If you weren't doing something right, he'd let you know and teach you how to correct yourself when you did it. I mean, I owe a lot to Rob Dermarest. He was a big.
That was going to be my next question, was about Rob, but you answered it. So we'll move on to a little bit about. So another thing our teams have in common, we still do residential cases.
Yep.
You know, a lot of people haven't, but we still do that. So what is the biggest misconception people have about residential hauntings?
One is not understanding the concept with their clients. Is they're not finding out what kind of medical history they got, what kind of medications they're on, or if they got any past trauma or alcohol abuse or substance abuse. That a lot of people don't dig into that, and then they go into a location, or you get the ones that want to go into a location and all they want to do is grab their evidence and then skedaddle, and then not help the client any. They just make it worse for them, and that's what makes us ones that do it and stay there and don't abandon our clients look bad, because it gives us a bad name as paranormal investigators that we're going in there to help these people. And then also the ones that charge, people charge that go into locations and charge clients, "Oh, I'll investigate your house for $100 an hour." I mean, you're invited into their space. You're not there to charge them. You're there to help. You're not there to ask them for money, ask them for food, ask them for gas money. I mean, if clients want to give it to you, that's your discretion if you want to take it. But like us, we don't. We don't take it. We're here for them. We're not. It's the goodness in our hearts to come out and actually help you, not charge you money or. Yeah, we're not going to tell you got a demon in your house, or we're like these other teams do. They come out and they sit there and they tell them, "Look, you got this going on, that going on." We're not going to do that, and that's what a lot of teams do. They'll go in there and they'll tell the client this, and this, or they're doing Estes in the house and they got the client there and the client's listening to everything that's going on. You don't want your client hearing what you're doing because they're freaked out enough as it is.
Right.
It also makes us look
I mean,
bad.
I agree with all that, as you know. Yeah, when you do residential, it's about helping the family. That's all it's about. It's not about charging. You don't even go live on Facebook. Don't even put that stuff out, because that's not what it's about. It's about helping the family. And you do have to find out. You do have to find out the medical history the mental health history, the religious history, as much as you can about the property. There's more to it than just going in there.
Yep.
And you don't go in there and tell a client, oh, you have a demonic thing, because realistically, it's probably not demonic. And second of all, the client's already scared. They don't need you to scare more.
Exactly.
So yeah, I agree with all that. So, and as you know, the case, everybody has that one case that sticks with them. The case that sticks with me more than any was a residential case. And, so, and if it sticks with me, imagine what it did to the family. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yep.
So that's what we're there to do, is to help. And if you're not there to help, and you're not qualified, reach out to somebody else. If you don't know what you're doing and you go into a residential case, you can make it worse, and you don't want to make it worse.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about demonic cases and demonology.
Okay.
That's another thing. We're kind of on the same page. We both admit that there is demonic out there, but we both also admit that it's not very common.
Yeah.
But we're also both actually trained. So we can speak with a little bit of authority or expertise, whatever. We're not these people running around in tight jeans saying everything's a demon. We've actually been trained. I was trained under Bishop Long, and you were trained under Sister Perry and Father Bailey. So we both kind of know what we're doing as much as anybody can in those situations. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yep.
So first of all, just talk a little bit about your training, and then I'll get into the questions. So,
my training started when I had met Farah for the first time, and her late husband, Kenneth Deal. They were both 40-plus year practicing demonologists that works for the diocese office. And I had called Kenneth on a case that I was working that had a possible demonic, and Kenneth was working with me on getting a timeline for this case and what hours this is working and things that were happening. And they both liked the fact that I was serious about it, passionate about it, and helping people. So they decided to take me under their wing and start mentoring me in the demonic aspect. And because they said, with you doing what you're doing, you're gonna run into them. And being you got more of a level head than most paranormal investigators that want to do it for fun, you're actually taking it seriously. We'd like to take you and mentor you and make your team a verification team for us. So I got talking to them, and I've known Farah and Kenneth now for well over 12, 13 years now. And Ken's actually passed away, but Farah and I, she still mentors me. I still pick Farah's brain. I don't know everything in the demonic aspect. And if there's something I don't understand, I'm asking questions to Sister Farah and Father Bob. And I also talk to Keith and Carl Johnson quite a bit too on stuff, because they're both well-trained demonologists. I'll pick my cousin John Zaffis's brain as well, because he was trained in demonology by Bishop McKenna and Ed Warren. So, and then as it is in my bloodline, so it was my calling to do it. And I just continued, and I still continue to learn and read everything on the demonic. I don't call myself an expert. I don't call myself a demonologist or anything like that, because I'm not ordained. I mean, I study it because I need to, because it's what I do and that's what I deal with. And that's what I chose to deal with.
Exact same reason I did. And I think I like how you said it. And it's important, when we do run into a possible demonic case, it's good to have people to call on. I have you, and of course I still have, Bishop Long, and I still have
Hmm.
I have Wayne Kirby. I
Yep.
got Father Bailey. So yeah, I have people I can call on too. And I did it for the same reason you did. You know, with me being passionate about this and doing residential cases. Eventually I would run into something, so I wanted to be as prepared as I can. One thing that people might not understand about me, most people know I've been doing this a long time. They know all that, but I don't think most people realize how educated I am and how serious I do take it. I have a
Yeah.
degree. I have a degree in parapsychology. I have 2 degrees in theology. I took demonology training under Bishop Long. So yeah, and Rain Kirby, when he was on my show 2 seasons ago, on season 1, he said this, and it's true. In this field, we should always be learning. If we're not, we're setting ourselves up for failure. So
Exactly.
I've kind of personalized it for myself. This is how I say it. You might appreciate this, you might not, but you tell me how you like it. This is how I say it. I'm like, in the paranormal field, you either green and growing, which is you're still learning, or you're right and rotting, which just means you think you already know everything. That's how I like to
Exactly.
be. I like that visual. How I
Yep.
am. So,
Yep.
all right, let's talk a little bit about a location that we both been to. Matter of fact, we've been to it together. Are you
Oh, the
ready?
Glen House. Yep.
We went to the Glen House for my birthday, and if Jimmy's still with us, Jimmy loves the Glen House. So let's
Yep.
talk about a little bit about the Glen House. To me, you've done more places in Missouri than I have, obviously, but to me, it's one of the most fascinating locations in Missouri, at least in the
Hmm.
Boot Hill, definitely in the Boot Hill.
Yep.
There's another one I want to take you to that's actually in East Prairie. And
Okay.
I want to take you there. And that might be just me and you because it's a smaller place.
All
So
right.
but we'll talk about that in a minute. Right now, we're talking about the Glen House. So I'm going to try to give a little bit of the history for the Glen House for the people watching. You jump in if you think I missed anything important or whatever. So for the people who don't know what the Glen House, it's a 1800s Spanish. They call it a house, but it's a mansion. Trust me, it's a mansion. Am I wrong? It's definitely a mansion.
Yeah, it's
And
definitely a mansion.
they were a normal family for the most part, but the activity of it began really. There was always activity. I grew up in Carroll, Illinois, right across the river, so I always heard about the woman in white, all this and all this. But when the Glen House actually became known, is apparently the great granddaughter. His name is actually Sarah Glenn. Well, she's actually apparently one of the top, if not the top, fiction teen authors of horror type stuff, and she was writing a new book. And she drew a picture of the Glen House. She had never seen the Glen House. She drew a picture of the Glen House because that was the house that she was going to use in her book. Where her dad saw the picture. He's like, "Why are you drawing a picture of my grandma's house?" And then they reached out, and the house was still there. So the most known spirit in the Glen House is Sarah Glenn. So Sarah Glenn was a beautiful girl. I've been there multiple times now. The first time I went there, I saw Sarah's picture, and it was just beautiful. It's that one I showed you. The one I
Yeah.
said was her senior picture, It was some kind of formal picture. Yeah, she's beautiful, but her eyes are like haunting, even in the picture. To
Oh,
me,
yeah.
I've always thought she looked like the Black Dahlia.
Yeah.
But she's beautiful. Well, so she ends up getting married to another prominent family. And of course, big money in those days. It was such big money that they actually had organ players flown in, trained in, organ players, piano players, whatever. So they were married, apparently, maybe happily for a couple years, but Sally always wanted to be an actress. So somehow she got the money to go to Hollywood. They don't really know how. Maybe the family gave it to her. Maybe she was saving it up from the husband. They don't know. But anyway, she moves to Hollywood. And she don't move to Hollywood. She goes to Hollywood, and she has an affair with a married man. She comes back, divorces her husband. The guy divorces his wife. Blah blah blah, and so forth and so on. So long story short, her story ends up getting really sad. She ends up having 5 husbands, and she ends up committing suicide in West Virginia. So, and then the other one that I have always thought was interesting was the brother, that died in the car wreck. But anyway, but it's just fascinating. It was used. A doctor owned it for a while, and that's back to like the smallpox outbreak, all that stuff. So there were so many kids sick. He was housing the kids in his own house. One may have got pushed down the stairs. So anyway, there's a lot of history. And so when ghost hunters did their investigation of it, it was during the season that Grant Wilson was the lead. Jason wasn't there. It was Grant. And they did it as a curse, the Glenn family curse. That's how they looked into it. And then of course, Jimmy's investigated with Outlaw Paranormal. I've investigated multiple times. So that's just a little bit of a history. So, but just so people know, and I'm telling people, if you're an investigator and you're looking for a place in that area to investigate, check it out, because they're one of the places. The only thing they want is a donation to help restore finish restoring the house. They don't charge, and they're good people. So anyway, so let's talk a little bit. Was that a good history, or you got anything you want to add to it?
No, that was pretty good history. You were spot on what Christy told us. So
thank you. So my question is, what stood out to you about the investigation?
What stood out to me was the history and the actual craftsmanship of the inside of that house, all the designs and stuff. That kind of stood out to me as far as the location. I mean, the craftsmanship of that place was remarkable, how they built that place. And another thing that stood out to me was Garrett, the brother, and how friendly he was when I brought up about cars and how I used to race. And
yeah, you guys had a good conversation about that.
Yeah, he kind of enjoyed that conversation when I brought that up, and he was setting the equipment off like crazy when we were talking about that. And then that we had to get rid of that, do that cleansing on that one figure that you spotted on thermal, and that thing actually got caught in your video.
Yep.
I saw it run right behind me in that video, and it wasn't very tall either. It was under 5 foot.
Yep. Makes you wonder. Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite places. And it's only like an hour and 15-minute drive for me. That's one of the reasons I go there so often. Plus, Christy's so good, and plus, really, if you're going to support a location, we have so many pay to investigate places anymore. It's nice to have one that's I donate $250, and I know it's going to fix the roof. It's nice to know that. So let's talk a little bit about the next time we're going to see each other for sure at the Risk Kentucky Paranormal Expo.
Yep.
So the Risk Kentucky Paranormal Expo is my show. I don't like calling it a Paracon because Paracon is so negative anymore. That's why it's a Paranormal Expo. But it's my event. So this is year 4, and this year we got Aaron G. Thompson for 28 Days Haunted. For the people who don't know who Aaron Thompson are, first of all, if you don't know, you should probably research some more. But anyway, so we got Aaron, we got Aaron G. Thompson. We got the Renner Bros, which are kind of a new group, but they got like 50,000 followers on YouTube. They're from Tennessee. I'm looking forward to. I'm actually going to do an investigation with them in April, so I'm looking forward to that. And then we have our good friend Jimmy Wicker. Outlaw Paranormal is going to be there. Jeff and Jimmy, and they're going to be there. Then we got. I'm trying to make sure I don't leave anybody out. we have the 222 Paranormal Podcast is going to be there. Jennifer and them, and then we got Michael Huntington from Huntington Strange Travels. He's actually my UFO guy. This is the first year that we've ever had a alien UFO guy, so I'm excited about that. Then we have Russell. You're going to be speaking, of course. Then we got Rachel DeMarco. I love Rachel. She's awesome. She's from down here in the Nashville area. She's actually returning. She actually spoke last year. Her and Outlaw Paranormal are both returning. Jimmy didn't make it last year, but Jeff did. This year, they're both going to be there. And Jimmy assured me he's speaking this time. So, and of course, they're going to have the moonshine too. So, yeah.
Oh, I'm sure Jimmy can't leave home without the moonshine.
and then we got Jen Jacobs is our cryptozoologist this year. So I don't think I left anybody out. Oh, we got Josh is doing. He's come back this year just to host, MC, whatever you want to call it. He's not speaking this year. He's just like, Kent, you need to be able to enjoy your event, and if you're hosting it, you're not enjoying it. So
right.
He's coming up here just to host it, just to MC it. And then we have a few other people that aren't speaking, but they're going to be like featured guests, because we got Steve Asher, author of 12 books. He's actually going to be doing a meet and greet and book signing, and then maybe some more surprises. I'm not going to give out too much yet, but what are you planning on speaking on, Russell? Do you know yet?
I'm going to talk about the Warrens Occult Museum, talk a little bit about demonology, residential for the teams that want to do residential stuff. Those would be my topics, what we're going to talk about.
So what are you most looking forward to? Just meeting the people, hanging out with other investigators. Just what are you looking most forward to, and why do you do these events?
I'm looking forward to meeting the people and educating. That's why I do them. I love to educate people and teach our craft, because we're getting older, and we need to pass the torch to other investigators out there. So that's why I do what I do, is to teach people, and that's why I do these Paracons and these conventions, so people can come out and talk. I don't do it for the fame just because I'm related to the Warrens and stuff like that. I mean, people, they love it when they see that I'm related to the Warrens. Hey, they actually got to meet one of Ed and Lorraine's relatives. I mean, they could go meet John Zaffis, who's one of their relatives too, Chris McKinnell. I mean, but it enjoys me to see the smiles on their faces when you made their day, that they see how happy they got to maybe pick up a little bit of knowledge from us seasoned paranormal investigators out there, and they got a little bit of education and maybe give them a little motivation. Hey, maybe I want to try to get into the field and investigate, and maybe learn from these guys that are experienced. And also, if they want to do their own podcast, they get to learn that too from us. And that's what I look forward. Even the kids too, to see the smiles on their face. I mean, like Rock Island last year, to see that autistic boy walk away with a smile that we made his day because he got a picture with us and he got his little Annabelle autograph from us. That made it worthwhile for us to see him smile. And we had a couple other autistic people that came to see the Warrens Occult Museum, and they came down to us and got to talk to us and got our autographs and got pictures with us. And they wanted to do the paranormal stuff too, so they were picking my brain and learning from us, and I was teaching them on the equipment, because I had, as you remember, I had all my equipment laid out on the table, so I was showing them how to use it, how it works, and stuff like that. And
yeah, we were right across from each other, Rock Island.
Yeah.
So yeah. This year when I go back, I'm going to make sure I have my equipment, because I think you said you guys wasn't doing it this year. So I'm going to.
No, we are doing it this year.
Yeah.
We'll be at Rock Island this year.
Oh, you cool. So I'll
Yep,
see
we're
you again
coming.
then. Yeah,
Yep,
awesome.
we're coming.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and this year, of course, I'll have my book.
Yep, we'll have a bunch of
maybe
stuff
my,
at Rock Island.
I'll have my first book for sure. My second book may be out by then. So, so my first book, of course, as you know, is titled "Don't Buy Generic Batteries." And it's
Yep.
probably not a demon. The Memoirs of Paranormal. And of course, Aaron G. Thompson wrote my introduction to that book. My second book, the one I'm working on right now, is titled "It Takes More Than Wearing Skinny Jeans and Yelling Demon to Be a Paranormal Investigator." And Jason McCrae wrote the introduction to that one. My third book, which may be my final one, I'm hoping it's my final one because I'm not an author. But my third book is entitled "Hold On, You're a Christian and a paranormal investigator. How's that work?" And the introduction to that one is going to be written by Rain Kirby. So
awesome. Yeah, Wade's an awesome person to write.
Yeah, he's a good friend and a good person. So
yeah, I love that man. He's a ball full of knowledge. That man is. I pick his brain a lot too.
So I'm going to have you on for about 5 minutes because you have another podcast to do. But I do want to make one more point about Paracons or expos, whatever you want to call them, and then I want to move to the rapid fire round. So get ready for the rapid fire round.
All right.
But what I want to see if you agree with me on this. I know you do because we agree on 99.9% of everything. But so I tell people all the time when it comes to Paracons and stuff, for the public, it's a big event. They come in, but for investigators, for us, what people have to understand, it really is a convention for us. We come in to socialize with other investigators, to learn new techniques.
Yep.
So that's why I do this one here at Mayfield, because I could go up the road and do it like in Paducah or somewhere bigger, but in Mayfield I'm building something and I can keep it affordable where people can come in and learn what it's like. So that's why we're here. Okay, are you ready for rapid fire round?
Yep.
All right. So these are just quick questions. Just answer them. Favorite piece of equipment?
My millimeter.
Previous place you've ever investigated?
Creepiest place, Waverly Hills.
One paranormal myth you wish would go away?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I can. One paranormal myth you wish would go away?
Everybody calling everything a demon.
If you could investigate any location in the world, where would it be?
Lep Castle in Ireland.
Anywhere in Ireland or Scotland. Yeah. So I'm going to answer that question because I'm the host and I can. So I'm actually going to get to go to my bucket list location in November. I'm actually going to the Hinsdale House.
In New York. Nice. Okay. Yep. I know the place very well.
Yep. I'm going there in November. We're going to do the hospital on Haunted Hill, on College Hill. We're going to do the hospital on College Hill on Friday, and then we're going to do the Hinsdale House on Saturday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. That's a nice 12 and a half hour trip, but it's worth it. So, all right. So thank you, Russell, for being on here tonight, especially since it was short notice. For the ones who tuned in and were like, what happened to Jason? Jason did have his baby yesterday, so congratulations to Jason. But thank you for being on the show, Russell. And
thanks for having me.
Reminder to the listeners: West Kentucky Paranormal Expo, September 26th. And tickets are just $15 all day. You can come and go as you wish. We'll give you a wristband. We have 6 speakers, 40 vendors, 2 food trucks. So come on out. It'll be a good time. My guest next week is the Renner Bros. So that should be a good conversation. And of course, we'll talk a little bit more about the expo with them too. But thank you for being on, and we will see everybody next week if I can. There we go. All right, Russell, I will see you in September, if not before. But we'll talk about that other location.
Okay.
We'll talk about it next week. So All right, so here
That'll
we
work.
go.